The Christmas Story, Part 1. Imagined. A man named Joseph, who was a descendant of King David, married a woman named Mary. According to their custom, they had not had intimate relations because they had not had their wedding celebration yet. At this point, Mary didn't know it, but she was about to receive a surprise visitor with some highly shocking news. The visitor was Gabriel. Now, Gabriel was scary. We know he was scary because every time he visited someone, he had to hurry up and tell them, "Don't be scared." Gabriel was an angel, and God sent him to deliver a message to Mary. When Gabriel arrived in the town of Nazareth where Mary was staying, he said, "Hello, Mary. You are one of God's favorite daughters, and I'm here to tell you that God is with you." And just like everyone else who Gabriel visited, Mary was scared as she thought to herself, "Why is this angel telling me that God is with me? That's strange." So Gabriel had to recite his famous line that he told everyone he visited, "Don't be scared." Then he gave Mary the news that would literally change the world. "Mary," he said, "you have God's approval. You're going to become pregnant and have a son. You will name him Jesus. He is going to be great and be called God's son. God is going to give him the throne of his ancestor, King David, and he will rule over the descendants of Jacob. His kingdom will last forever." Now Mary was thoroughly confused and asked, "I have never been with a man, so how is this possible?" Gabriel replied, "The Holy Spirit will cover you, and you will become pregnant by God's power, which is why the child will be called God's son. Even your cousin Elizabeth, who is very old now, is already 6 months pregnant because God's promises always come true." After hearing this, Mary could only answer in obedience by saying, "I am God's servant, so let your words be true in my life." Then Gabriel left. A few months later, the first emperor of Rome, Caesar Augustus, gave the order that a census should be taken of his whole empire. During a census, all people had to travel to the town of their ancestors to be counted, so the government would know the number of people they rule. Since Joseph was a descendant of King David, he had to travel to Bethlehem, David's hometown. It was normal for travelers to stay with relatives. But since there was a census happening, there were a lot of people in Bethlehem. With all the additional people in town, their relatives didn't have a guest room available. So Joseph and Mary were staying in a small, first-floor room where the family kept some of their animals at night. While Joseph and Mary were there, Mary went into labor and gave birth to her first son. They named him Jesus because an angel had visited Joseph in a dream and told him what to call the baby. Just like babies born today are tightly wrapped in a blanket, which is called swaddling, Mary wrapped the baby in strips of cloth. With the animals being nearby and there being limited space, it was convenient for Mary to place the baby in the animal's watering trough, which was called a manger. Not far away, on the same day that Jesus was born, there were shepherds in a field with their flock. That night, they received a surprise visitor with amazing news. An angel appeared, and the light of God's glory was shining all around the shepherds. Remember, angels are scary. So the shepherds were terrified. This was not something they saw every day. Of course, the angel said what angels always say, "Don't be scared." He followed up with, "I'm here to give you good news that will be a blessing for people in the whole world. This very day in Bethlehem, the Messiah was born. You will know who he is when you find a baby swaddled in strips of cloth laying in a manger." As if that wasn't scary enough, an army-sized group of angels joined the first angel and said in unison, "We give glory to the Most High God and declare peace to everyone on earth whom God approves." When the angels left to return to heaven, the shepherds were so excited that they decided to immediately go into town to witness the wonderful news which the angel told them. In Bethlehem, it didn't take the shepherds long to find Mary and Joseph along with the baby laying in the manger. The shepherds were overjoyed after seeing exactly what the angel had announced, and they told everyone who would listen. The people they talked to were astonished when the shepherds told them of these events. Now Mary was still in awe of everything that had happened to her over the past several months and spent time just thinking about what it all really meant. But those shepherds, they were exhilarated and returned to their flock, jumping and praising God for the amazing things he had done. To be continued.